Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Definitely appreciate the support. I recently made a video on one of the ways that Nick Saban defends against tray sets, and it's the Iowa check here. It's under the two-man variant, and today I want to get into another check that they have called cop, and that comes under the quarter side. Okay, so if you don't understand what all this stuff is, this is really just a toolbox, guys. Okay, it's kind of funny because it's a metaphor, and I'm an electrician. That's my career, and obviously I have a toolbox. I have a whole bunch of stuff in there. Obviously you have your tape measure, you have your Kleins, you have all types of stuff in there. But they're different tools to deal with different problems or to solve different problems, right? Well, that's the same thing with football. You have a toolbox where you have these different defensive play calls and concepts to deal with certain issues, or you want to play to the strengths of the defense, stuff like that, right? And I group it this way because it's easier to kind of see for me, and it's a more structured approach. Okay, so this is against standard sets. What I mean by standard is like 2x2 type sets, so we can call these different types of calls. Now obviously I'm missing a lot of stuff. You have pounder over here, a defense that falls under the two-man variant side. Definitely go check out my video on that. That's a big Vic Fangio defense that I found very interesting. I went over it last year, and I actually used that defense against tight sets on one side, and I used a different type of defense on the other side. That's the benefit of double high, guys. You can play one variant, palms on one side, and then on the other side, you can play two-man if you wanted to, right? You can play two-man on one side and play cover two zone on the other side, and it won't mess up the defense because a split field defense from double high is completely independent of each other on both sides of the field. That's why I love double high. Now, I'm not saying that single high is worse than double high, because there are guys who love to play single high. You have different solutions and different things you do from single high, right? So anyways, that was the toolbox for standard sets, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that same toolbox is what you play against bunch, stack, trips, and 3x0. Okay, and basically what I'm trying to get at here is, in real life, it's not like in Madden, where in Madden, you're waiting on defense, you're waiting for them to pick their play. They pick their play, and it tells you, hey, they're coming out in bunch. So then you pick your defense. In real life, it doesn't work that way. Okay, you don't know what formation they're going to line up in until they line up in it, right? Unlike in Madden. But in real life, you know their personnel. Hey, they're coming out in three wide receivers, one tight end, one back. So we're going to come out in nickel or dime. And the call for you guys, I want you guys to play cover two zone, right? So we're going to play cover two zone. We're waiting for them to break the huddle. They break the huddle and they align in bunch. Well, theoretically, in most cases, you're not just going to sit in two zone on the bunch side, because two zone is horrible against bunch. So from what I've seen, most coaches, they'll have something embedded into zone in the playbooks, right? Where it says, hey, when we call two zone and the opposing team comes out in bunch, we're going to automatically check into a box defense on the bunch side. And then on the other side, we'll play cover two zone, right? And that's, again, the benefit of double high. You can play one defense on one side and a totally different concept on the other side, as long as they both fall under this category, right? So, I had a question against tray sets because, I wanted to figure out a lot of different ways to play tray. So I made that video on cover 5 Iowa, and this is one of the checks. You saw how in that excerpt, when they play two-man against any formation, it looks the same. But when you come out in this, they play it a lot differently. Okay, so I made a video on this. Definitely go check it out. This is what they play. This is why I call it Iowa. To where, hey, we call cover 5 or two-man, and we're waiting for them to break the huddle, but then they come out in tray. Well, maybe for that week, we have it embedded in cover 5. Hey, if they come out in tray, if we call cover 5, you're automatically checking into this Iowa check. And it's pretty simple, where we're playing the two-man deal over here, but the backside safety is going to man the number 3 inside, and the corner is now, instead of playing inside trail, you're playing outside because you have help to the inside, right? And now we are one-on-one here, and they're playing the banjo. So if he goes in, I take him, and then you have the back, right? And I thought that this was brilliant because, if you have trouble with the number 3, their best receiver, playing inside here, this would be an excellent play call to play against that. Now, obviously, it has weaknesses because your tight end would be one-on-one with this guy, right? But again, it's one of the, I don't want to say irritating, it's one of the things I see. Like, if someone makes a video on, hey, well, there's a number of different things that are irritating. Or you'll read a comment or a title of a video. It says the best defense in the game. It's unstoppable, right? It's good against everything. There is no such thing as a defense that's good against everything, right? If I were to draw up a defense, you know, you should be able to say, okay, hey, here is where it is weak. Here is where we can attack, right? There is no such thing as drawing up a defense to where there's just nothing you can do against it, you know. And if you ever find a defense in Madden that is good against everything, it's probably because it's not coded right, the game, right? Something's wrong, right? So always think in terms, whenever you have a defense called, I should be able to ask you, okay, hey, where are you weak in that defense? And you should know, right? That way, when someone attacks your defense and they attack the weakness of the coverage, you're not blaming the defense for it. You're not blaming something that you shouldn't blame. You can almost say, hey, they found the weakness in that coverage, right? So now you're not in an area where, hey, I don't want to play that defense ever again because it's bad. Not knowing that it's actually very good against what it's good against. Your opponent was just running something that's good at attacking it, right? So I think that's the framework you should operate in. So anyways, this is just me summarizing that video. Definitely go check it out. I don't want to go over it here. Maybe I should have used the speed button on the summary portion here. Okay, but this is the Iowa check. I said in that video, I think it's better if you play cover one robber and then make your adjustments for them to play into that check so they don't play underneath trail with this player here. You can also play, thinking on it now, you can also call two-man, okay? Man this guy up over here, so it's probably less adjustments to make, turn this guy into outside leverage, and then just user this guy, right? So now he's not playing underneath trail because now you're going to play it correctly, right? So that's probably, just thinking on it now, it's probably the better way to do it. So I should have went through this. I don't know why I didn't speed through this for this video. But again, this is a cover 5 variant against Trey. And today I want to go over a cover 7 check. Cover 7 is the name that Saban gives for his quarters family. Okay, for those who are kind of unaware of that 7 tag. So that's the thing. It's like the vernacular, the vocabulary for different coaches. There's just so many different words and terms that mean the exact same thing, right? So I wish there was a universal language for football, but it really isn't. You know, because I almost want to get in, kind of developing my own language, because, you know, I'm kind of mixing and matching these names. Like the Iowa is Saban's name, and then I also have Pounder under here, that's Vic Fangio, right? So it's kind of mix and match with the names and stuff, but obviously it shouldn't matter too much because this is Madden. So anyways, again, so this is against 3x0 Trey, so we have our toolbox here, and obviously Iowa check would be under, you know, the cover 5 variant. Cora is something I'm going to go over, I believe, in the next video, and I want to go over cop. Okay, and I want to go over something here. Notice how on the cover 4 side here, we have quarters, but then look at stubby, stress, and stump. You see how they're like not the full lettering, at least in width here, and I did that for a reason. All right, so we're going to put front, back. Okay, when you play quarters in Madden, it's a full field concept against Trey. And the reason why that is because against 3x0 sets, you have 1, 2, 3, offensive line, tight end, back. Your safety on this side is involved with taking the vertical of number 3, right? So this concept is a full field concept, as opposed to stubby, stress, and stump. 1, 2, 3, 1. This backside safety is not responsible for the vertical of number 3. He doesn't have to poach over to the strong side to collect that. We have that handled on this side of the field. So this is a front side, stubby, stress, stump. The benefit of running these coverages is we can do a lot of different things on the backside. And that's what cop is. Cop is a check on the backside. So notice front, back, should have drawn a line here. Full field deal, front side, front side, front side. But on the backside, we can run cop, right? So why don't we check it out? I believe I have the file here. This is cover 5 Iowa. So poor choice of dropping it there. And I guess I was a little bit off my game here. Let's move forward here. And there it is. So this is the check. Okay. So cop is a trade check in cover 7. On the strong side, we will play stubby. And you see how on this side, they could play stubby, they could play stump, right? If triple stump is tagged, we will play stump on this side. Cop is strictly a backside check, as we see here, right? And you can see what's going on here. If the back releases to the flat, then the corner widens, right? They're basically reading the release of the back. What he does kind of dictates what's going to happen, okay? If the back were to go, I want to get a different example. If he were to block like this and not go to the flat and leak out, well, now the corner just takes the vertical of the tight end, right? So the corner kind of, what he does is dictated on what the back does, okay? If the running back is not out fast and the corner takes the tight end, as I just noted, the Mac, that's that inside player, has a running back and the safety will poach. Okay, so this would be an example of that, where he's not out fast, blocks, and he check releases out. Well, now I'm taking that, right? And the corner takes the vertical of the tight end, and the safety can play with inside leverage in that instance. In an instance like this, the backer is now kind of poaching inside of this guy, and the safety's over the top of our tight end, and the corner kind of widens out. So, you know, looking at this is how I try to simulate different defenses. I kind of look at this and I ask myself, hey, is there a defense in the game where we can kind of simulate what's going on here? Where if you do this, he does that, but if he does this, you do that, and then maybe we can manipulate the coverage with somebody in the back end to use or someone to make it work the way it's supposed to. And spoiler alert, you can't. There's not. Maybe you guys can figure out a way to simulate this. I don't see it. I thought about cover 6, right, where we're playing cover 2 on this side. But when you think about it, yeah, when he goes out, kind of plays like cover 6. But if he stays in the block and he goes inside, the corner's not going to squeeze on the route like this. And the safety is going to play deep half. He's not going to squeeze the route, squeeze the formation, right? But you see how there's no wasted defenders in the coverage, right, in match principles. So you see in an instance like this where the back stays in the block and the tight end goes inside, why in the world would you want him to play deep half or the corner to flare out? There's no one threatening that side of the field. Why not squeeze the formation to where you may have something crossing, you know, to the backside, right? There's no point in people just drifting off into space. That's what you're trying to avoid here. He goes inside and he goes out. There's no point in the safety playing deep over the half, deep half, right? Corner's going to be able to take the back, so he can squeeze the formation. So there is not a defense in the game you can replicate this. I can't think of one. Thinking about cover 6, I think the only problem with cover 6 is this, because he's not going to squeeze the formation in a route distribution like this. But then also this, he's not going to match the tight end vertical with the back blocking. So you may ask, well, why did you show us this? Well, hey, it's just something to learn, something else. Just giving you a concept where, you know, you see what a professional team does against a formation like this. And then learning stuff like this, even learning stuff that's not in Madden, I think it's good for you, because when you run into a problem or you think, you know, there's got to be a better way to defend this, and maybe you're searching in Madden for it and you're not able to find it, well, knowing this, you may be, okay, hey, I know what the problem is. Madden just doesn't have this particular concept in the game, right? And if they had this in the game, then I would be able to better defend the problem that's presented to me, right? And that's the problem. Madden gives you a toolbox where you are lacking the tools you need to do your job. So as an electrician, you know, you give me my tool bag and you want me to go bend some pipe and cut some conduit, and I reach into my bag for my tape measure because I got to make a bend for a 90-degree bend, and there's no tape measure. Like, how can I do my job if there's no tape measure in there, right? Okay? Or a hole saw or a drill. Like, I need my tools. It's the same thing with Madden, guys. So, you know, if you get frustrated because you deal with a lot of problems, some of the problems are problems that shouldn't be that hard of a problem to deal with if you had the tools necessary to deal with the problem, right? So this is why we kind of got to mix and match. This is why I made that video on the traffic check. Okay, the way we have to try to simulate that check, we have to do it in unconventional ways with Madden because we don't have the proper toolbox, right? You know, so I just figured I'd throw that at you guys. And obviously I want to get into the Cora check. This is something we can simulate, something we can somewhat simulate. And when I saw the video, the spreadsheet for that, I thought it was brilliant, right? So we're going to go over that, and I hope you look forward to that video. All right, guys, peace.